I'm Claire and welcome to my channel. So today's video is going to be my perfume tray for July. I'm going to pick 10 fragrances from my collection, and I'm also just going to review the fragrances that I ended up wearing the most during June. So if you haven't seen me before, I'm Claire and I make videos all about fragrance. I'm someone who's been into fragrance since about 2020. That's when I got really obsessed, and I haven't stopped making videos yet. So if you are interested and you do like something a little bit different, I'm currently making a few videos about the life histories of perfumers. Then if that interests you, then please do consider subscribing. And also please like this video if you do like this kind of content. So June, how was it for you? June for me was deadlines again. I had some assignment deadlines for my master's degree. I made those assignment deadlines and I get the results next week. So I'll keep you posted. It'll be really embarrassing if I don't pass, but I will still tell you. So yeah, keep your fingers crossed for me. So June for me in the world of fragrance was quite unexpected. I had some PR arrive and I ended up really wearing that fragrance quite a bit because I wanted to test it out for a review video. So the one I ended up wearing quite a bit was gifted by Mugler and it's Alien Extraintense. You have no idea how much I want to say Hypersense. The names are just so similar for this line. So Extraintense is a fragrance that I really didn't think that I would really like that much, and I've been really surprised by how much I have enjoyed it. The more I've worn it, the more I've liked it. And, you know, whilst it's still not, you know, the old vintage Muglers that I absolutely adore, I do think this one's pretty good. So yeah, Extraintense by Mugler. So from the fragrances that were actually on my tray, I ended up wearing 3 in particular quite a lot this month. And the first one is Cosmos Sacred Mist. So Cosmos is a brand that was created by Kate Moss. And I was curious about this fragrance because I'd heard good things about it, but I hadn't seen anybody chatting about it on YouTube. I'd only seen people talking about it on Instagram. So I thought I'd just try it out, and actually I've worn this one quite a lot to work. I find it very relaxing, and it's one of those kind of, you know, quite quiet fragrances in a way because it's a treatment mist, but it does last a long time on my skin, and it's something that I can get 4 or 5 hours out of easily. It's a woody, herbal, slightly citrus, but also quite sweet fragrance. It's just really easygoing, really easy to wear. So that's Cosmos Sacred Mist. The other 2 fragrances that I ended up wearing the most during July are 2 that I wasn't really originally that bothered by. So the first one is Narciso Ambrée, and I wasn't bothered by this one when I first bought it because I thought I'd made a mistake. I'd finished up a bottle of Poudre and I'd loved Poudre, and then I started on this one and I just felt like I'd made a mistake. I felt like I should have just bought another bottle of Poudre. I just got into it more, and I think really it's the time of year for this one. You know, it's that tropical but very powdery, quite sweet feel to this fragrance, and it just suits right now perfectly. So Narciso Ambrée. And then the other fragrance that I really wasn't sure about when I first got it is this little 5ml from Jardin. So I made a review video for Jardin about a year and a half ago, I'd say, and Jardin gifted me a few samples. So this is one of the samples. They gave me a 5ml sample. And this fragrance, I think I rated it pretty low actually. I really wasn't that fussed by this one. But having worn it more and more and worn it at this time of year, I think it's just gorgeous. I can't believe how much I overlooked this one. This fragrance again is very creamy, but it is just based around tropical florals, and I just think this perfectly suits this time of year. So that's Révolution de la Fleur by Jardin. So for July, I'm going to pick some fresher feeling fragrances, some fragrances that are slightly more affordable as well. And then I'm going to pick some more punchy ones in case I go out somewhere in the evening. So the first one on my tray is one that I will wear to work, and it's just a really nice, clean feeling, fresh feeling fragrance. So this one is Cerruti 1881. So this fragrance, it always makes me think of the colour that this bottle is. It makes me think of a really nice kind of light pink. It's slightly 90s in its feel, I think because it's the florals with an aquatic feel. But it's just got this really nice freshness to it, especially in the opening, and it's got a really nice cooling feel to it as well. This is definitely like a meadowy floral fragrance. It's really just a mix of different florals, but it's quite a delicate feeling floral. It's not, you know, like a strong rose or a, you know, something punchy. It's not like a scary white floral. This is just very, very gentle, very pretty, very girly, very innocent feeling. This one I think is mainly chamomile. That's really the thing that punches the hardest here, but really the whole thing is very soft and very muted, and it lasts a long, long time, which is why I'm choosing this one. It's delicate, it's soft, It's perfect for the summer, but it's long lasting and it's really affordable, and I just love this one. So that's Cerruti 1881. So my next choice is also super affordable. I feel like you can get the Cerruti for probably less than £20, and I think this one I bought for £13, so super affordable. This one is Chopard Sparkling Love. So Sparkling Love is a flanker fragrance to Chopard Love, which I also adore, but Chopard Love, I would put it more as a wintry fragrance. It's quite a deep, strong fragrance, that one. Got a really strong patchouli rose going on. This fragrance is completely opposite to it. I can't really see how this one is a flanker of Love. This is a creamy white floral fragrance with a citrusy undertone, and the tuberose is probably the more dominant thing here, but there's also some jasmine. But really, overall, it's got this lovely fruitiness to it. I don't think there's actually any fruits listed other than some citrus. But to me, it always makes me think of papaya or a tropical fruit in some way. Just a really good, summery, inexpensive fragrance, creamy white floral fragrance. That's Chopard's Sparkling Love. So the next fragrance is my latest purchase, and I could not pass this one by. It was such a good deal. It was £10 for a 10ml travel spray. This is Masque Milano Petra, and I had to have this because I tried a sample from John at Scented Snowdrops, and he loves this fragrance, and he always describes it as smelling a little bit like Coco Mademoiselle, and I hate to compare the two, but yes, it does smell a little bit like Coco Mademoiselle, but it isn't a spot-on dupe. It really isn't, overall something that I would think about smelling as like Coco Mademoiselle without John having said it. But because that's in my head, I guess I recognise it. To me, this has a greater intensity to it. It's more resinous in the base. It's more base heavy, but in a non-patchouli way. And there's also some ambergris here. So it's almost like a little bit of a salty sea breeze while you're wearing the fragrance. This is also a lot fruitier. It's not just citrus. It's got just this general sweet fruitiness to it. This to me also smells a little bit Middle Eastern. It makes me think of a woman walking through a souk, through a marketplace or something with lots of fruits in somewhere really hot. I feel like this one would be perfect if you were going out in the evening in the summertime and the temperature's cooling down a bit, and wearing this would just be absolutely gorgeous. The ambergris really makes this slightly beachy in a way to me, but it's not a beachy fragrance overall. But yeah, just a stunner. I love this one. So that's Petra by Masque Milano. Next up, I absolutely adore Fig when it's hot. I find it really refreshing. It makes me think of holidays. And I was thinking about putting Alluring Fig on my tray this month. And then I thought, do you know what? I'm going to do something different. I'm going to use a sample. And I'm doing this because Liz, naturally Liz, she was putting samples on her tray. And I thought to myself, I've thought about doing that, but I just was a little bit scared to do that with all 10. So I'm just going to do it with 1 or 2, and I'm going to see how I go. So this is the first fragrance I'm going to try this with. So instead of Alluring Fig, I'm going to choose a fragrance sample that I've been gifted. So this came from So Avant-Garde, and it's called Plume Impression, and it's called Murmure D'Été. So Murmure D'Été means Whisper of the Summer, which is a name I absolutely adore. I think that's so beautiful, Whisper of the Summer. And this one is a fig fragrance, and honestly, I could really compare it to Alluring Fig. I think the difference between these two, they're both very much a fresher fig. They've definitely got a woodiness to them, but Alluring Fig has so much more vanilla. Whereas Murmure D'Été is just a really nice, beautiful balance between something creamier, something woodier, and something sweeter. It's got all of those elements of the fig. And also it's got this nice kind of freshness to it, more so than you get with Alluring Fig. Alluring Fig feels very green, and I would say the balance of those three things is very much towards the sweetness and the greenness in Alluring Fig. Whereas with this one, it's slightly woodier. And it's also got a slightly different type of creaminess. The creaminess here is not so much to do with the fig, it's more to do with some sandalwood in the base. It's just a really nicely balanced fragrance, and I really like the sweetness here. It's not too much. This is a Biche fragrance, and it was released a while ago, I think 2019. I'd never heard of this one, and I'm really excited to try this sample out a little bit more. I've worn it twice so far, and I've really enjoyed it. And it's obviously Biche mode. It lasts a long time, and it's actually quite strong. So that's Murmure D'Été by Plume Impression. So the next fragrance is the one that I tend to reach for when it's super hot. It's been 30 degrees earlier this week in the UK. That's a temperature that is above what most British people find comfortable, especially with our humid kind of heat. So this is the type of fragrance that I generally reach for in those high temperatures. And this is Le Jardin de Monsieur by Hermès. So this fragrance is part of that collection, Le Jardin, which I absolutely adore. I really like a lot of the fragrances in this range, and I feel like I could pick up a few more actually, but I'm trying to restrain myself and use this one up first. So this one is a really nice sappy green, watery, wet summer garden kind of fragrance. There's also some citrus here, and there's also a little bit of floral, but really it's that wetness, it's that wet summer garden. I love this fragrance on a hot day. I think it's absolutely perfect. So that's Le Jardin de Monsieur. So the next fragrance is one from Miller Harris, and Miller Harris are a brand that I love a lot of their fragrances, and there are some that I'm really not fussed by, but this one is one of the loves. So this one is Tea Tonique, and I discovered this one last summer. I bought a gift set of 3 fragrances from Miller Harris. I decluttered Reverie de Bergamote, I bought it for Peau Santal, and this was the surprise love. So this one is a citrusy tea fragrance, and what I didn't realise when I first tried this was that the tea is mate tea. So it's got a kind of almost slightly green feel, slightly smoky even as well. I don't know what's the birch in this fragrance, and I just find that very distinctive. It's almost like you're drinking even something like a Darjeeling, a cool Darjeeling with a slice of lemon on top. Just a really refreshing fragrance, something very different. I'm really into the kind of slightly smoky citrus at the moment. I think this one was the fragrance that started it all. So this one is Tea Tonique by Miller Harris. So the next fragrance is a fragrance that I got in PR a few weeks ago. And this is from a brand that I've never really been sure of. I've tried loads from this brand already, and there's never been something that says buy me about these fragrances, but they are really affordable. And there have been some that I have actually liked, but just never enough to purchase them. So it's kind of interesting to try one of these and see how I get along. I hadn't smelt this one before I sent this one. So this one is Monday Rose, and it's by Banana Republic. So I used to wear Banana Republic clothes actually, and I used to actually buy quite a lot from Gap, but they seem to have just disappeared from the UK. They're only online now. Anyway, Monday Rose is a fragrance that is along the lines of a creamier, softer, less tart, less sharp style of something like a Delina. It's definitely something that has that kind of beige combination of the rose and the lychee, almost a bit like Angel Nova has that combination as well. But Angel Nova is definitely more fizzy, it's definitely got a lot more woodiness, it's got a lot more punch to it. This one's a lot softer. So it has that lychee and it has that rose, it has the freshness to it, it's quite aquatic in the beginning. And then as it dries down, it turns into something softer, more powdery, almost, not quite powdery, but something kind of fluffy feeling. It smells almost like there's a marshmallow here or something like that. It's something really sweet. It's pillowy, and I can see this one being a winner for a lot of people actually. I'm surprised I hadn't heard about this one or seen it in a shop to try, because I've seen the other one in this collection, which is the Tuberose one. I've seen that a lot, but I've not seen this. I don't understand that. Anyway, so this one, I'm not getting like crazy performance from. So I'm going to try this on clothes this month and see whether I can get more projection, whether I can get it to be something I can smell on my skin without, being really close up a little bit more, and see how it goes. But so far, I've worn this a couple of days to work, and it's just been something that I've just felt pretty in. This fragrance to me is one of those really easy reach fragrances, and that's why it's going on my tray this month, because I'll probably end up wearing this one to work. So that's Monday Rose by Banana Republic. So the next fragrance is one that I've just been neglecting, and I want to put it in my tray because this is the time of year for this fragrance. It always makes me think of bronzed, sunned skin, and it's got a slightly vintage feel to it, this one. So this one is Guerlain Terracotta. So this fragrance I was totally obsessed with. I got a sample from John at Centre Snowdrops, and it was something that I just felt like I had to own. It's just got a lovely kind of, it almost makes me think of Joan Collins on a super yacht in the Mediterranean sunning herself in the 80s. It's got that kind of almost sunscreeny feel to it. But for me, the coconut is not prominent here. It's very much background, and it's something that I don't really smell too much of actually, but it does have somehow a sunscreeny feel to it. I think it's maybe the florals here. It just is a very solar feeling fragrance. It feels very bright and golden, and it always makes me think of just the summer. It makes me think of the sun. I guess that's the idea of this one. So this is a white and yellow tropical floral fragrance, but very, very deep, very strong. And it also has some lovely creamy feeling vanilla in the dry down. But again, it's more the florals than anything else. As I've said, the coconut on me is very, very light. And actually, I think this fragrance is now being rebottled. I have the EDT version, and that's been put in a new Guerlain style bottle. I'll put a picture up if I can find it. And actually, I'm wondering whether they have reformulated this fragrance or whether it is still the same thing. If anybody owns both bottle types, please do let me know if they have changed this. I'd be really interested to find out. So that's Guerlain's Terracotta. Next up is a fragrance that I just forget about. It sits at the back of my collection because it's an awkward style bottle. And then I rediscover it each summer and I'm wowed again. And this one is Mugler's Aura. So Aura is a really hard to describe fragrance. It's tropical, it's wet, it's green, but mainly it's a vanilla fragrance. It always makes me think of being in a rainforest and suddenly coming across some yellowy, creamy, lily-style flower that isn't a lily. And yeah, just having that in full bloom in front of you. Also with a slight tartness to it. And I think some people describe this as slightly minty. That's something I don't always smell. I don't always get that kind of minty feeling. I have got it a few times, but it's certainly not something I get all the time. And to me, the rhubarb is also sometimes more prominent than at other times. Really interesting fragrance. I'm sad to say this one's discontinued, but I do still see the refill bottles around. If you do want to try it, then you might be able to get one of those for sure. I do still see those in shops, at least in the UK. This fragrance was the one that ignited my passion for Mugler fragrances, and I still absolutely adore this one. But it is incredibly strong. It's very long lasting, very punchy, as you would expect with a Mugler fragrance. It's just got this summer goddess kind of feel about it. So that's Aura by Mugler. Finally this month I'm going to choose a Guerlain fragrance. I really feel like the Guerlain Aqua Allegorias are just intended to be worn in the summer. It's the perfect time of year for them. They're just really refreshing, and I particularly love Orange Soleil at the moment. This is the one that I can't put down. So this is a green feeling orange fragrance. It smells really juicy, almost like you've just sliced into an orange in front of you. The peel and also the juiciness are really prominent. And it also just has a lot of petitgrain as well, which gives it that green feel in the opening. As it dries down, you get more of a mintiness, but it's still just a green feeling orange, really, overall. It's quite a simple fragrance, but just really well done. And I really appreciate this kind of very natural feeling citrus fragrance. Citrus was something that I just wasn't into because I was trying fragrances that were full of ambroxan, that were full of scratchy feeling musks, and this Guerlain fragrance just does not have that. It's just super smooth, really refreshing. I might leave this one actually at work on my desk because my workplace has a heating control problem, which is not pleasant. And sometimes in the labs, it can be up to about 35 degrees, 40 degrees, which is incredibly unpleasant. And even in the offices, because my office faces southeast, it gets all of the sun in the morning, so it warms up and then it's hot all day. So having something like this on my desk at work will be really refreshing this month. And I think that's what I'm going to do. So that's Orange Soleil by Guerlain. So that's the final fragrance in this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have enjoyed it, then please do press the like button and please also consider subscribing if you haven't done already. And please let me know what will be on your fragrance tray this month. Have you tried any of the fragrances I've featured in this video? Which is your favourite summer fragrance? So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.